millimeter and one's a 38 caliber. And if you look at the difference in the ammunition, one's a lot bigger than the other. And if you take both of those firearms down here to the gun range and you shoot both of them, you will tell a big difference in more than one way. One of them will sound like a stick of dynamite going off. The other one won't sound quite as loud. One of them, when you pull the trigger, you better be holding on real good with both hands. The other one doesn't kick quite as bad. And so the decisions that you and I make are going to have consequences, whether they be small consequences or whether they be large consequences. Consequences are inevitable. Now, one huge bad mistake can destroy somebody's life. Likewise, a number of very small mistakes can destroy somebody's life. There's a reward to reap when we make good choices. And there is a price that is going to be paid when we make bad choices. Choices result in a price to pay or a benefit to reap. Going to be one or the other. You know, I've discovered in my own life that negative consequences can be a very powerful motivator. Some things I just soon not have to go through again. And that is a motivator that helps me not to make a lot of the mistakes that I made in the past. All of us should learn from our mistakes. Too many of us are hard-headed, though, aren't we?
Amen.
True.
You know, bad mistakes can turn you towards God eventually. That did me. It's a pity I had to go through it to get there, though. You get in trouble, and what do you need? You need somebody to get you out, don't you? So we turn to God. But we don't have time for God when everything's going well, do we?
That's true.
When the bottom falls out, you know how to hit them knees, don't you? We run to God when we get in trouble. We make all kind of promises. We beg God to get us out of this mess. He does. How often do we forget it and don't follow up on the promises that we made to God? You know, God's bailed me out a lot of times. God doesn't always bail you out. Sometimes He'll let you pay the price for your own good. You know, God's not under obligation to bail us out. Sometimes the worst thing He could do for us would be to bail us out. Now, drug and alcohol ministry, a lot of times we talk about something called an enabler. You know what an enabler does? An enabler is always bailing the addict out. And they think by bailing them out that they're loving them. That they're helping them. And what do? All they do is relieve the pain that could bring the addict to his senses. It's kind of like somebody came down here tomorrow to get some counseling, and they hurt so bad right here, they felt like they were about to die. And I said, I tell you what, I got a shot of morphine here in my desk. I just give you that shot, you go on home, you be all right. Am I loving that individual for removing that pain? No. I'm contributing to the death of that person. I ought to tell him, get in my car, I'm going to take you to the emergency room over at Town and Country, buddy, because you need help. I ain't bailing you out of your pain. Because I know from personal experience that pain's what brought me to my good senses.
Amen.
Sometimes God has to allow us to suffer the consequences of our actions in order to bring us to our senses. I've been there more than one time. Many Christians are still living with the consequences of their past, folks. You know, sometimes Miss Dina has to speak to me 2 or 3 times if I've got this ear torn story. Because I have a loss of hearing in this ear. Every time I think about it, I remember sin that I committed over 30 years ago. It serves as a reminder. Well, God could heal it. God could open it up. But no, He chose to leave it with me to serve as a reminder of way back when I did something I'd had in business doing. And it cost me partial loss in my hearing. You see, accepting Christ doesn't necessarily make the consequences of the past disappear. There's a difference in forgiveness of sin and consequences of sin. I accepted Christ, all of my sins were forgiven, past, present, and future.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Is that great?
But I still suffer some consequences of decisions and actions I made in the past.
We all do.
Negative consequences should be a powerful motivator to us. Choices result in a price to pay or a benefit to reap. Secondly, quickly this morning, there's no easy street on the map of life, folks. That's what the world's looking for, easy street. How many of you have heard the phrase, life's just not fair?
That's how they use for an excuse.
Yeah. Life's just not fair. That's the mantra of our government today, you know. Life's not fair, and their job is to make it fair.
Yeah. Put you in bondage.
Their job is to make the road easy. So just not the 1% live on the easy street, the 99% gonna live on the easy street. You know, I've discovered something in the last 30 years. The rich drug addict and the poor drug addict got 2 things in common. Number 1, they're both addicts. Number 2, they're both running from the truth. Life's not fair. Whitney Houston was rich. Is it fair that she's dead at 48?
She called it.
Listen to the mentality of the age that you and I are living in today. I'm a convicted felon and I can't get a job. It's just not fair.
Some kind of job.
Just not fair. I haven't paid any of my bills for 30 years and the bank won't give me a loan to buy a home. Just not fair. I quit drinking and doing drugs 2 weeks ago and still nobody will believe anything I say. It's just not fair.
That's an old excuse, all right.
The rich got all the money and I don't have a dime. Just not fair.
Don't know why.
Consequences are the result of our action. Man drinks for 40 years and he's got cirrhosis. Life's not fair.
It always means that.
Married person cheats, destroys their marriage. Life's not fair. Criminal robs the bank and goes to jail, and for the rest of his life, he sits in an 8x10 cell saying, life's not fair. Young lady marries a bum. And for the next 25 years, she's abused. And she says, life's not fair. I want you to go back with me this morning. 2,000 years. Stand at the foot of the cross. On each side of Jesus that day hung a thief, common criminal, that were getting just what they deserved. The man in the middle, what happened to him wasn't fair.
Glory. Amen.
One of the criminals that day died and went to hell.
Amen.
He suffered the consequences of his actions. That day, consequences and forgiveness stood side by side. One of them was forgiven, went to heaven. The other died and went to hell due to the choices that they both made. The two criminals, they still had to die the physical death of their punishment because of bad choices that they had made in life. And perhaps for the first time ever, one of them made the right choice. Perhaps the only time in his life he made the right decision. And that decision was the decision to look at the man in the middle and say, I deserve what I'm getting because I'm a wretched, miserable sinner who has sinned against God and against society and against myself. But this man in the middle, he deserved nothing. That's the place that God calls us all to. Place of decision. To look to Him and receive the forgiveness that only He can offer. Last and quickly this morning, there's no easy street on the map of life. Choices result in a price to pay or a benefit to reap. Last, man is and will be held accountable for his actions. There's going to be consequences for the choices that we make. Be good or bad depending on the nature of our choices. Bad choices are going to reap bad consequences. Good choices are going to reap good consequences. You know, a lot of times it seems like man is getting away with his sin. Some pay now.